Hello, my name is Caitlin Keats and I am the creator of VibesUP. Today I want to take you, there's so many new discoveries that I want to share. So today we're going to go on what I would call a little learning journey. We're going to discover some of the latest things and some of the things we may already have a foundation of with vibrational energy, some creative new ways to muscle test. We're going to learn more about EMF, which has become a very big buzzword lately. It's about the electronic toxins around us. So we're going to learn about EMF and earth grounding and the benefits of direct contact with the earth. We're also going to learn about the other side of grounding. So grounding's half of the story, so we want to hear the other half. Life is a vortex, and literally life is created through vortexes. So we're going to learn a little bit more about those. How plants can read humans, very interesting. The hows on gemstones and essential oils, a lot of us love them, but to really know how they work is fun and interesting. Water, we're going to get some brand new breakthroughs and ahas on water. How vibrations affect the aging process of both humans and food. And we're going to learn about some of the VibesUP Earth solutions, how they're made and how they work. And as we move forward, several times we're going to talk about the other side of grounding. So let's get a little foundation here. We live in a polarity universe where you're bringing together the two polarities and it literally creates life. That's how everything in this universe works. It's kind of like the two sides of a battery. You know how you have a plus and a minus on a battery when both sides are plugged in? Nature does this. It brings everything together. For example, a pine cone, and we'll talk more about that as we go. A pine cone has 8 swirls that come up from the earth and 5 that come down from the sky, and wherever those two opposites, the earth and the sky, come together, when that energy comes together, wherever the swirls cross on a pine cone, there is life, and that would be your ball in the middle. And nature does that in a very mathematical ratio. It's 8 of the feminine, as you can see on our little chart, and 5 of the masculine, and the scientific name for that is phi, P-H-I, and that's how everything around us generates energy and is sustainable. And the things that are unbalanced are not sustainable. We're going to be learning a lot more about how that would affect us in our lives, and it literally does. I mean, it affects all the things around us and our left and right brain and the cells of our body. So there's so much that we're going to learn today. Vibrations are, I consider, the final frontier in natural solutions, and I love solutions, especially non-invasive natural solutions. So this talk today is going to be a visual learning journey, more on the vibrational energy. Starting with this little chart here. So Bruce Tiano did some measurements with a machine that he developed that it was able to gather the frequencies of things around us. So let's look over here on the body. It has 72 to 90 megahertz is the brain. The body at 62 to 68. When you catch a cold, your vibration goes down to 68, and a flu or 58, and a flu 57. Cancer begins at 42, and death begins at 25 megahertz. So you can see there where it would be great to keep the vibration of our body up and stay away from that 42 and 25. So what are some ways we can raise the energy of our body? One of those ways is by consuming food. And let's have a look at some of the measurements of food. So processed food, probably a lot of you are not surprised to see that it brings in 0 megahertz. Fresh produce up to 15, dried herbs 12 to 22, fresh herbs 20 to 27, and essential oils 52 to 32 megahertz. And by the way, 320 megahertz. That 320 is the rose. So that's one of the highest vibrations in nature, is the rose, which would explain why it was given as gifts for people that were either sick or you wanted to stir up some love. It would be the rose that was given as a gift. Totally makes sense. Now this is a secret key. I love little keys to really understanding big pictures of things, and this will help make it simple to solve our everyday challenges. Again, it's one of my favorites of understanding how things work. So that key is that high and low vibrations cannot coexist. Like a light bulb cannot be on and off at the same time, high and low vibrations cannot coexist. Let's see what that has to do with us. So if we apply some common sense, there are things that vibrate low, like germs, disease, pain, depression, etc. They all literally vibrate low. And if you raise the vibrations, you have now created an environment that is not a match for the lower vibrations. It would be like turning on, when something was dark, turning on the light, and there you have a whole different reality going on. You have the light instead of the dark. Let's look at the how and why. So VibesUP tools, we're inspired by studying nature and how nature works and getting inspirations from nature, and 11 of them have been Visionary awarded. And they do amazing things. We're going to learn a lot about life, and we're going to also learn about these tools as we go too. So the VibesUP tools can literally raise the healthy vibration of anything that they get near. Wow. So we looking back here, okay, high and low vibrations can't coexist, and those things that are not beneficial are vibrating low. Be great to have a tool that could raise the vibration of anything it gets near. And you're going to learn how these tools work, but they even raise the vibration of the body, the food, and water in less than a minute. There's an accurate and fun way to test this for yourself, because I send my things off to be tested at a clinic in Ireland where people go that have gotten sick from environmental pollutants, and they have very expensive machines there, but you have an amazing machine right within yourself, right? Totally handy all the time, and that is your body. Your body's very intelligent, and it will let you know what things raise your vibration and are beneficial to you, and what things lower your vibration and are non-beneficial to you. So when you hold your arm out and someone pushes with a couple fingers, just like in the picture, pushes down with a couple fingers, and the person being muscle tested resists, the basic of it is your muscles hold strong when something's beneficial, and they go weak when it's not. So as he pushes down on her arm, the things that are beneficial, again, hold strong, and that drain you and are non-beneficial, the arm will go weak. The muscles won't hold strong. So it's a great way to go around and test things. And here's an experiment that you can do. Any item that you have that tests weak for your body will test strong and healthy after 1 minute of being near the VibesUP products. So you can take that cookie or whatever, test it, see how your body, if it's raising your energy or lowering it. And when it shows that it's lowering it, put your cookie on the VibesUP for about a minute, test it again, and you'll see it's now filled with all that beneficial energy, and your body says, yes, this is something that raises my vibration now and is uplifting to me. Think of this. So you know what the VibesUP did for the food, raised its healthy energy. It's doing the same thing that it did for your food. It's doing it for your body while you're wearing them. Here's another thing you can do, not just with the food, but think of a challenge, kind of like a life challenge and muscle test, and you'll notice that those things, let's think about like a grumpy person at work or these things. They're literally draining our energy from us, and when you think about them in muscle tests, you'll notice that it is making you weak. So whatever that challenge is, think about it, test, and then get the bracelet that matches for that, and then think about it again and test, and you'll be very happy to see that already the arm is holding strong. It's helping to shift that drain that's in your life. So how does all this work? I'm going to really get in and explain the whys and hows of my creations, because it's fun to know, really how something works. I like that myself. So let's start with how essential oils and gemstones work. They send out signals attracting back specific energy. It works just like a radio does. A radio sends out signals and attracts back certain stations. A station is like a frequency. Well, the essential oils, in fact, I was reading in a book once, and after each oil it had its frequency, and I was all, what is that? It's megahertz. And later I figured out, oh, it's like the radio. It sends out a signal and attracts back. So you're like, each oil is tuning into a different specific station on what it can be beneficial for. And then my mind leapt over into gemstones. I was all, oh, that's how the gemstones work as well, because I really had a hard time figuring out how they were beneficial. And I'm like, oh, they send out a signal and attract back a specific energy. I heard somebody say once that that gemstones are like herbs for our energy field. I thought that was a very clever way to explain it. So like tuning into the radio, the VibesUP has tuned each bracelet into a specific vibrational frequency with the special coating. And I'm going to show you what's in the coating. We have essential oils, little spheres of quartz crystal, flower essences, liquid crystal, and the liquid crystal, what that does is it flows through the ingredients and amplifies it. Just like a radio, the stronger your signal going out, the stronger you can receive the energy back, and that liquid crystal does that amplifying. So we've added a special liquid crystal coating, and it works like a powerful antenna. So we're coating the rocks, we're coating the gemstones with this formula. Now let's talk about those tiny spheres of quartz that are in the coating that work like natural batteries. They never run out of good energy. They work on Piezo energy, but you're going to learn. This is so neat to have your bracelet have batteries. It's kind of fun. So how the batteries work? Did you know that when you squeeze crystal, when you apply pressure to it, it gives off a very special energy, and it's called piezoelectricity. Piezoelectricity, if you were to look up the definition of this, it says quartz produces an electrical charge when pressure is applied and vibrates at a constant rate of millions of vibrations per second. So it's sending out millions of rays of energy per second. Just like the sun generates energy, the piezoelectric energy is infrared. You know how the sun's rays can penetrate so deep? The infrared picks up information and it imprints it to things around it. The neutron's very active in an infrared ray, and the neutron, whatever it touches, picks up information, and whatever it touches next, it imprints that information. So instead of regular energy on the surface, the tiny spheres on the coating have essential plant oil energy on the surface. So now imagine the rays going through the essential plant oil energy. And as it goes through, it's picking up all that information on the essential oil, and now it's being able to deliver that infrared deep to the layers of the body, the mind, the emotion. Like, you've heard of infrared saunas. The reason people use those is because it penetrates so deeply. Now, we've known that the VibesUP can imprint that reminder of the pattern of life onto things. For example, all the ingredients and all the things around us were once natural and balanced, and we have, made them man-made. We've monkeyed with them, got them out of their natural pattern of life, their natural frequency, their natural balance. And the coating, it reminds things how to get back, and it imprints it, reminding it how to get back into its natural pattern of life. And I knew that for years, but this was really exciting. This is the bottom of one of my liquid crystal paint jars, and remember how it said it has all the little crystals in there? And as you can see, the frequency is so powerful in there with the liquid crystals and all the gemstones and flower essences, all the essential oils and flower essences in this formula, and it's so powerful at imprinting that it on its own, this is the bottom of my jar, and it had solidified, it had dried up, and when I turned it over, I could see that it had spontaneously imprinted the pattern of life, the crystals had formed into that from the formula. So now it's kind of exciting to see, aha, there it is. To feel energy is one thing, to be able to look at it and see it. And that pattern is that kind of snowflake, ferny pattern of life that you see, you know, from, it's kind of on the smaller and larger scale. You'll see ferns and veins and rivers and branches, and all have this similar ferny pattern, which is the pattern of life. So let's recap. It raises the vibration of anything. You can tune into specific energy like a radio. It has its own big antenna and its own natural batteries, so it can bring the benefits very infrared deep. Now these tools, this might sound a little funny, but they can read you as an individual and know what you need and when. And that is why when we make natural choices over synthetic choices, which we've kind of known on a gut level it's a better choice, but now you're going to learn why that natural is always so much better than the synthetic. So here's some fun proof. The man that invented the lie detector test, and this it was written in the book called The Secret Life of Plants. He invented a lie detector test, and out of curiosity one day he hooked it up, instead of to a person, to a plant. And then he thought in his mind, what would happen if I burned a leaf on this plant? And just by thinking that, not even saying it out loud or doing any actions, just thinking it, the plant responded and started going wild on the little graph on his lie detector test, and he's like, the plant really stressed out. He was so excited because this was tangible evidence that nature can literally read human beings, and we're going to see why that's important to us. So whenever people are consuming things that are natural, think about this. The nature can read us. So it knows how to work together with us. Like, it knows the difference between, like, I like to think about when you eat a salad, that it's giving a reading to you as you're eating it. Like, it knows what to bring, what to hold back, and, you know, if you need more of something, it really can read us that way. So what happens is people, when they wear the bracelets, and for years they would ask me this, and it took me a while to figure out why this would work. So when people wear the bracelet, they're learning that they're coming to me and saying, you know, why is it that one of my bracelets will warm up and not the others? And then as I was looking into it, I'm like, oh, so what's going on is when you need a specific theme, the warming up, it's literally activating, sending out more energy. And they would say, you know, when they need a certain theme, that one would warm up. Very interesting. And I've even had people who, they said they had lots of energy and their energy bracelet warmed up, but yet later on something happened that made it to where they ended up, there was someone close to them was having a problem, they had to stay up all night with them, and they're like, oh, my bracelet knew ahead of time. Now that's getting really wild, that the bracelet knew that they were going to be needing that kind of energy. So it's really fun to be working with tools that can work, you know, nature and humans work together on the symbiotic relationship. And again, you with your bracelet, you may feel certain ones get warmer or tingly. That's when you're really needing them, that they would do that. Otherwise, they'll kind of coast back and bring a little energy as you're needing it along the way. Okay, this is one of my very favorite deliveries of energy. And these are the snap wraps. So all of the bracelets will work this way, but the snap wraps are very powerful. If you notice, there's a strip inside there. In the future here, I'm going to take you on a little journey where I'll be teaching you exactly how I make that squishy little strip and what's in it and how it works. But this snap wrap, it'll fit around any wrist, and we're going to talk about what is so wildly unusual. I see this as being the energy delivery solutions of the future. So unique. The delivery is sublingual style. So there's several ways to get something throughout your whole body. One way is a shot, which is invasive, but it gets through the whole system. Another way that homeopathic or natural people use is something called a sublingual delivery. And that's where they put the drops of their little tinctures or their beautiful herbs or flower essences under the tongue. And if you were to lift your tongue and look in the mirror, you would see that you have blood veins very close to the surface. So what happens is that beautiful drops is absorbed into the blood via under the tongue and now delivered. Our blood is amazing. It goes to every cell of our body every 60 seconds, delivering oxygen and nutrients. Well, when you do the sublingual, what it's doing is also bringing to the whole body whatever that beautiful tincture was that is being dropped under the tongue. And that's amazing and a non-invasive, gentle way to deliver something through the whole system. Now on your bracelet, let's think about this. The next place on your body that you have veins very close to the surface, look down at your wrist. Aha, you have the blood veins very close to the surface. So when you're wearing your bracelet, and remember it's infrared and all that beautiful nature is being reminded back to our bloodstream and taken to every cell of the body energetically. When this is so non-invasive and gentle, and it's like being able to have that influence of nature going on all day long right there for our whole system, and again a very non-invasive, gentle delivery of nature to our whole body. And you can be very specific with this, so you can see why I'm excited about what a great way to bring different energies to the body in such a gentle way and very effective. And you can be very specific with those themes. So the formula that I make inside of the band here is energetically very specific, and I'll tell you a little bit more about how that works. Remember how I said that the essential oils and gems, they're like different stations on the radio? Well, I studied and researched throughout history the oils and gems are known for helping in specific areas. So I made recipes that are different frequencies and help in different areas. You can see some of the themes here. This is a new, the snap wraps are great, and this one is a new, it's kind of a soft, really comfy bracelet, and there's a strip on the inside, and then on the outside is a little essential oil pellet, so you can add aromas to it as well. It's Velcro, it's adjustable, and it'll go with any outfit. Like it'll go for the gem, it'll go with that little black dress. It's very versatile, and there are 5 formulas of the Bugless Bliss, and you'll be able to tell the difference of them by the shape. Like see in this picture how the end piece there is square, and the cold and flu version is rounded, and so each one will have a different design, and they all say bugless, and I picked the things that we would like to be bugged less with. And so we have the cold and flu bug formula, and we have the mosquito bugless, and then PMS, menopause, and stress. Things can start to bug you when you're having these life experiences. So we made formulas that are bugless for those 3 as well. Now I'm going to teach you about scientifically magical mud pies. This is, I think, one of the biggest breakthroughs of our time, and I'm very grateful to nature for its inspiration on how to make this. So I'm going to take you on a little field trip and a little tour, and we'll, in our imagination, make a mat together, and you'll get to learn how I made it and also what things that it can do. Okay, so imagine you're journeying into my kitchen, gathering around a mixer, and we are going to put some very unusual ingredients to make these mud pies into this mixer. Those ingredients are going to be gemstones and flower essences and essential oils and tiny quartz spheres and little black tourmaline spheres, and then the liquid crystal. So we have all these ingredients in there. And the liquid crystal is my, this formula is patented, but I also invented the liquid crystal, and the reason for that is that it would flow through all these ingredients. So things can get compromised along the way, like the essential oils and flower essences and their processing, and then when they get compromised, their vibration is lowered. At a lower vibration, it's not as aware, it's not as strong or powerful, effective, or intelligent at what it's doing. Quartz crystal is energy concentrated. So as in this liquid crystal form, it flows through the ingredients and it raises their vibration. It kind of wakes them up. Now they're at the peak intelligence for their performance and their ability to work with us on a therapeutic level. Now we mix all that up, all our ingredients, and you notice in the last picture it had a plus and a minus, the clear quartz and the black tourmaline. We're going to learn why that's so special in our mat. Okay, so we mix all that up and then we're going to put it into different pans like cookie sheets or pie pans, and it's like very ooey gooey, and we had put some clear gooey stuff in with our ingredients, mixed it up. Again, it looks like mud pies. We're going to put it in the pans and the pies and the cookie sheets, and we're going to we're going to spread it out and we're going to let it sit overnight. It's going to air dry. Now when that air dry happens, that's when the scientific part of these magical mud pies come in. When it dries, it shrinks a little bit. When something shrinks, it's applying pressure. So remember all of our balls of clear quartz and black tourmaline that are in our mat? When you apply pressure to those, they give off that Piezo energy, which is over 1 million vibrations of energy per second. Now, as I did my ingredients, I studied all the ingredients that are in the mat, and I took all the ones that vibrated to the feminine and all the ones that vibrated to the masculine, and I put them in a ratio of 8 feminine and 5 masculine. Remember that special creation ratio in nature? So those are in the mat. Now you have this mat producing over 1 million rays of energy per second. But there's 2 types of rays of energy. One is a vortex in, which is the clear quartz, and one is a vortex out, which is the black tourmaline. And you're going to learn why that is so life-creating and special. Remember the pine cone with the 8 swirls that came up from the earth and the 5 swirls that came down from the air, and wherever those came together and crossed, there was seed and life was created, and that's the phi ratio. That's why nature is sustainable. Well, this mat is doing the same thing as nature. It's doing the spin in at a ratio of 8, or the spin in is the ratio of 5, and the spin out at the ratio of 8, just like nature does. Now, as that rays are passing through, remember on the infrared, we said whenever a infrared ray passes through something, it picks up the information. Whatever it touches next, it imprints it. So this mat is literally imprinting things around it with that nature and with reminding it how to get back into its balance, filling it with all that energy, clearing it of the non-beneficial energies. It's just amazing. And here's another example to give you an idea how things can be reminded or re-imprinted. If you were to take a DVD and put it in your computer, and let's say you wanted to record a movie on there, the computer does the same 2 steps as the mat. It's information and ray of energy, just like the mat does. Remember information and the infrared rays of energy? Well, your computer takes the information, which is the movie you want to imprint on it, and it crosses through that information with an infrared ray, and it imprints the movie onto the DVD. Let's say you had a movie that was nature and all about things that were uplifting, and then that in comparison to the ingredients and the things around us in our life that were once natural. And let's say someone came along and recorded over that with a hate movie, and you're like, oh, this is really draining to me now. I'm going to have to throw this out. Well, instead of throwing it out, you can put it back in the computer and you could re-imprint and remind the CD, the DVD, how to get back to the original movie that was on there. And now it's reminded again and uplifting. And the same for the things around us. They were once natural, they've just gotten out of their balance, and they can be reminded how to get back into their natural state of balance. And the mud pie here does just that. Everything that gets near it, and wait till you hear some of the testing that's come back on it, everything that gets near it, it runs that ray of energy through the natural ingredients, through that natural ratio, and again imprints it onto things around it. Here's another picture of the scientifically magical mud pie. And even though it looks dark, when you get a close-up of it, like in the other picture, The gooey stuff that holds it together is clear, and all you're seeing in there is all those nature ingredients. Now here's another form of what we do with there's so many ways that we can use this very special mat that we created. One is when people ask me, of all your creations, Caitlin, which one's the most transformational? Which one has the most effect? I would say the soles, the snap wraps, the things on the wrist, and the water bottle. So let's have a look at the soles. So the soles are a way to have this energy on the bottom of our feet. Well, the bottom of our feet have over 50,000 receptors. There's a reason for that. The bottom of our feet are our plug-ins. They are what we would plug in, just like you plug an appliance into the electrical socket to run the appliance. Our feet are designed to be plugged into that energy source of the earth, so it helps to energize us. Also, when you apply essential oils to the bottom of the feet, it reaches the organs in 3 seconds. I read this in an essential oil book and was blown away at that. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm like, what? When you put oils on the bottom of your feet, it reaches your whole system in 3 seconds? And then I thought about, reflexology with all the areas of the bottom of your feet, how they coordinate to the different organs and areas of the body. And then I thought, wow, that would make sense. As we're walking on the earth in our natural state, the earth would constantly be nurturing those different areas of our body through the bottoms of our feet. It's just amazing how nature has everything designed so intelligently and so perfectly. Sometimes we think we're improving on that, with all our modern synthetic technology and things, but really when we come back to nature and back to figuring out what is our natural state of being, things can come back into their harmonious balance. And again, the earth nurtures our bodies and organs directly through our feet. So in addition to feeding us this good energy through our feet, the earth also helps to pull the toxins out. So now we're going to get a little bit of a peek at the two sides to grounding. There's the feeding in and the pulling out. Our universe, everything is electromagnetic. Those two sides, like remember our bow tie with the plus and the minus? The plus is the electro, or the feeding the energy up to our body, and the magnetic is that minus side, or the pulling out. That's what's called grounding, pulling out. So up and down, in and out, electromagnetic. That's the way we're designed to be operating. Well, nowadays we wear rubber-soled shoes, and rubber is not a conductor of energy. And it blocks the flow of earth energy to our bodies. So let's have a look at the human body. We are literally, imagine a AA battery. Human being is also a battery, and all throughout our body, our left and right brain, our left brain is the plus and the right brain is the minus. The cells of our body have that same design. We have the plus and minus in every cell of our body. Well, even our whole body, if you were to look at it as a AA battery, the top of us is a plus and the bottom is a minus. You know how a battery, the plus side is the little outie and the minus side is the little innie? Well, a human being, just like a battery is designed to be plugged in, we're designed to be plugged in, and the earth is that minus and the sky is that plus, or that universal energy. And when we have our bare feet on the earth, it plugs us in and it starts a pulling action. Remember the magnetic, it starts a pulling, and what it does is balance the chakras, which you'll learn about, opens the crown chakra, and we start to pull all that beautiful universal energy in through our system, and then the earth pulls it back out again, and it's just this constant. It's kind of like, think about when you breathe. You're breathing in all that good healthy energy, and then the body uses it, and then whatever's non-beneficial, it releases. That's the out. So there it is again. Breathing in, breathing out. So let's have a look at what happens when you put rubber-soled shoes on your feet. So if you were to take a battery and do an experiment, when the batteries are plugged in, it's creating all that energy is being conducted and created. Now if you were to take that little piece of rubber there and put it between the minus side of the battery and its connection, what would happen? Nothing would happen. It would end. There would be no energy created. The flashlight or whatever the appliance would not be working. So that would give us that's where our common sense can step up and go, whoa. That would explain a big part of why human beings, that we are only running on 5% of our capacity. You've heard only 3 to 5% of our brain. Well, our whole system is only running on a small percentage. And the reason for that is we're not plugged in. We're not have both sides of our inner batteries plugged in. And in fact, we're not, just like this flashlight, we're not generating any energy. And that would also explain and make it kind of fun that when we're not generating any energy, then how are we running at all if we're unplugged? Well, we have been gathering energy from outside of us via plants and animals in the form of food, and also pulling it off of each other in little drama games. So that type of energy is from an outside source. We're actually able, like nature and that pine cone, to generate energy from within us and be sustainable. So we'll be learning more about that as we move along. And again, let's see what happens when we pull that out, that little piece of rubber. So let's think about when we have shoes on, it works like that rubber, and it is disconnecting that battery from its plug-in source. Totally makes sense. Just like that, same thing. So whenever possible, pull off the shoes, get the feet on the bare ground, and that's you being plugged in. I know it's not always convenient to do that, but whenever possible, take off the shoes and ground yourself. The floors of our home also block that flow of energy. So even when you're barefoot inside, that foundation is blocking. You need to be directly connected. And it's not always easy in our modern lifestyle to have our bare feet on the earth. Wouldn't it be nice if at work they would let you pull your desk outside and work barefoot on the ground? But I would say in most cases that's not very probable. So divine souls are designed for when we cannot be outside barefoot. And it's a way of bringing that same action as the earth. It's like a little concentrate of the earth, all squishy, natural, and lovely inside of the shoes. It's like having a forest underfoot. So it's bringing those rocks and flowers and plants and trees into the shoes. Something else very interesting is the more you walk on them, the more energy that you're creating. So steps equal energy. Remember how we said when you apply pressure to quartz, it gives off all that millions of vibrations of energy per second? Well, the squishy material is naturally giving the crystals inside that hug or the pressure to create that energy. But every step that you're taking also is creating more pressure and more energy with your souls. All that natural Piezo energy for our body. And that would explain why when you walk barefoot on the beach you feel so great. Part of that is because you're walking on the sand, which has quartz in it as well. So let's have a look at how being barefoot on the earth affects the aura and the chakras of our body. Now I was at a festival in Los Angeles, and there was people there that had an aura photography system, and I thought, geez, I'd like to see what it looks like before and after with the souls. So we got a volunteer and we did the before of him, which you'll get a close-up look at in a minute, and then 4 minutes after of standing on the souls. So notice the before, the chakras are unbalanced. And this is interesting about chakras. They're designed to all be functioning all in balance, but in this picture you can see the person had some traumas in different areas. When we have traumas in our life, that area can shut down. Let's say it was your throat chakra. As a child you were told to shut up or be quiet, and it started to shut down. Now as an adult you may have a problem expressing yourself and start to get health challenges in that area. So you can see, like on this one, the lower chakra is has been traumatized, and the next chakra above it, chakras are very good neighbors. They try that neighbor chakra is trying to help out the one next to it by opening too much, and that's called a blown out chakra, because it's trying to help get some energy to that area. And a blown out chakra, you can be leaking a lot of energy from there. So it's very hard to function in the world in this unbalanced state. So let's have a look after 4 minutes of standing on the soles. And the chakras balanced and the aura turned white. And honestly, at first I was like, whoa, aren't we supposed to have color in our chakras? And I asked different chakra experts, and they said, actually, when all colors are in balance, you get white. White contains the full color spectrum. Did you know that animals have white auras? And the reason for that is, again, they do not wear shoes. Okay, maybe some little fancy city chihuahuas wear shoes, but most animals don't wear shoes. White is the highest vibration in the color spectrum, and it works like a natural filter. So remember in the beginning that little key of high and low vibrations can't coexist? Well, that would explain why when we have our little white filter, it would be allowing in the energies that are beneficial and filtering out those that are not. That's our natural state of being. Isn't that fun that we come with our own little energy filter? In our artificial lifestyle, our energy fields are now wide open, and there's so much around us that we're absorbing. We may be absorbing other people's energies. There's a lot of, the Wi-Fi and the electronic toxins in the air. And there we go, the electronic toxins and other people's toxic emotions. You ever felt toxic emotions of other people around you? Whew, they can be very draining. The divine souls help to ground the body, which allows toxic energy to move through us and not get stuck. Let's have a look at how that works in humans and a house. Did you know that a house's electrical system is grounded? They literally run wires down into the ground, into the earth. And that is what you see in the bottom part of your outlet. That is for grounding. This area is what connects everything electrical to the earth. Otherwise, the electricity would build up, become chaotic, and short circuit. Both humans and a house are electrical. Isn't that funny? I've always felt like there's a little personality about houses, but humans and houses both work in a similar way. We are electrical. So it helps the non-beneficial energies to move through us rather than build up and become overloaded. Remember how the earth does that pulling? So it helps to pull it through and out. So just like this grounds the energy for your house, the divine souls help ground the energy for the body, which allows the toxic energies again to move through rather than to get stuck. So one more time on the other side of grounding here. So if you look at our little bow tie, which is the design of our universe here, that whole electromagnetic and two sides of the battery and how everything works and generates energy. If we look at this electromagnetic, we can say, okay, the minus side is that pulling out or the grounding, and that's important, but we want to also have that plus side, which is the feeding the energy in. So electromagnetic energy in and pulling out, and that's what the souls and the mats are doing. Is remember the clear cords, that's spinning that vortex of the in spin, and it's spinning that energy into the body, and then the black tourmaline does the counterclockwise and the pulling the non-beneficial energy out. and all the other ingredients are in that same ratio, so it's being reminded of how to have that ratio and everything around it. There's our pine cone, and the other names for that phi are the Fibonacci sequence or the golden measurement. Electro is the in and the magnetic is the out. Energy in, energy out, and again the out is grounding. So it all kind of makes sense now, and it's quite simple how things work. And you can see where as humans have gotten unplugged, out of our balance, and just like a house, we're feeling chaotic, we're short-circuiting, having a lot of challenges. Health-wise, energy-wise, you know, we're designed to be running on 100%. And if you could just for a moment imagine yourself running on 100% of you when you're only running on 5% now, and that's borrowed energy. What if you could plug in every cell of your body, generate that creation energy? You have trillions of cells. Imagine each one of them generating that beautiful, pure, intelligent, renewable energy to run the full capacity of who you are. And if you let your imagination flow with that, I can give you some hints. We have so many abilities that are just laying dormant because we don't have the energy to activate them. But we are so amazing at what we can do that all this technology around us, we would not need this anymore. They are synthetic duplicates of a human being. And you know how our computers, we talk about it, you know, where uploads and downloads and viruses and all this terminology that sounds so much like us. And it is because computers are copying a human being. Again, they will just be, I'm going to use the word pathetic imitations when we start to fully blossom into who we are. We wouldn't need a cell phone. We could think of someone and communicate telepathically. We have all these abilities. So very exciting and very motivating to want to raise our vibration, plug in both sides of our battery, get ourselves back into that natural balance. And nature is reminding us right now how to get back into our balance, and who better to remind us of this balance than nature, because what a human being really is nature. So it makes sense that's where we would go to learn how do we get back into our balance and generating this energy and activating who we are. So let's look again. Remember, we just talked about that plus and the minus and the in and the out. So here's our little recipe. There's your plus and your minus again. There's the quartz, and its vortex is in, and that's bringing energy in, and the black tourmaline out. Think about a screwdriver even. You know, it's funny how you can find similarities everywhere. A screwdriver is righty-tighty and lefty-loosey, right? So the right brings it in, and the left, spinning to the left or counterclockwise, brings it out. It's really fun to see the similarities. So this is our recipe. So it's got that in and out like nature does, that plus and the minus. It's got the correct ratios, and everything in here is in its correct ratio, so that it can imprint that reminder to everything around it. The 8 feminine to the 5 masculine. So when you have both, not just one or the other, not just the electro without the grounding, or not just the grounding without the electro, when you have them both together in balance, again, it's like the breathing in and the breathing out. Now, when I got all the test results back on the soles and all the amazing things that it did for the body, I was like, oh, I really want to wear these on my feet while I sleep at night. So I put them inside socks and wore them to bed. And as soon as I lay down, my inner knowing said, no, in nature, we would have our feet unplugged when we lay down. I'm like, oh, that's so, again, perfect. The design of nature is so perfect. Look at how when you lay down, your feet are unplugged from all that energy of the earth so you can rest. Now your body is laying on the earth, and the earth is doing gentle energy work on it while you're sleeping, but you're not plugged in. So that's when I decided to create a mat for us to sleep on. So I started with the soles, and then I went to a mat. And that goes underneath of your sheets, and it's totally renewable. The mat never needs plugging in. It's portable. It's infrared, so it'll go through anything. It'll go through the sheets. It'll go through the plate. Anything that it's near, it will go through. So you can enjoy nature's gentle energy treatment for your body while you're sleeping. I like any work that's done while I'm sleeping. I think that's great. So it's a nice way to lay down, have some energy work done on you, and then when you wake up, you have had that treatment all night. And again, one more time, it's portable, does not need plugging in, it's self-clearing, doesn't ever need clearing. It'll turn on and off as required. It reads the body, and how you'll notice that is when you're really needing more, it will activate and warm up and send that energy up, and it'll back off it when you need less. And that is pretty interesting, and that applies back to how nature can read humans. And again, it's infrared, it goes through the sheets, and it's self-generating. Now in nature, when it's time to do a project, we would have set, I always try to go back to how was our natural design? How are we designed to do things? And in nature, again, when we would need to do a project or sit down and think and focus, we would sit directly on the earth, and our tailbone would literally be touching the earth and plugged in, and just like how we plug our feet into the earth. When the tailbone's touching the earth, this would run the earth energy up the spine and help to activate or turn on our brains. I notice a big difference with this. Like, I can have a little challenge on staying, like if I'm in a lecture, especially if it gets, like very left brain. I have a hard time following along with it and staying focused on what the teacher's saying. But when I went to a class once, it was a 3-day intense class, I had a mat to take with me because I was in some pain, and I sat on the mat and I could follow along. Like, I was just so amazed. I was just so, my ability to focus and stay following along with what she was saying was something I hadn't experienced before. And then on day 2, somebody wanted to play with my mat, so I let them have it, and the class started again, and whoop, there went my mind off all different directions, and I had a hard time staying focused. So that was making me think, oh, in nature, if we were going to focus on something on a project, we would have sat down, plugged our tailbone in, whoop, woke up the brain, totally made sense. Now the mats, here's some other ideas and suggestions for those. Great for the office, in a classroom, yoga, driving, homework, computers, the baby's car seat. Sometimes babies get very anxious about riding the car seat. By the way, on the classroom, when my son was a teenager, he noticed that he could really do his homework better. He's got a lot of the ADD, and I actually think that that's the new way that kids are designed, is to be more big picture thinking, more the diffuse intelligence, the right brain. But in a classroom, they want you to have a lot of that left brain activity. It was hard for him to stay focused. But he noticed when he sat on a mat, it was so much easier for him to get and understand his homework. And so I'm all, here, why don't you take this to school with you? And he's like, Mom, I'm a teenager, I'm too cool for that. He's sitting on my little flubbery mat. And so then he started putting pieces of it in his back pocket where it was more discreet for a teenager. We're going to learn about some of the latest testing discoveries, the 1.1 frequency and the 2.5 frequency. What the 1.1 frequency is, it's that ball in the middle. That is the measurement of that energy that is created. It's a very intelligent, spiritual. Why I say the word spiritual is that's what they told me in the testing. But think of it as that's the creation energy. And you know how in nature you feel that creation energy is all around you. Well, now we can get under a microscope and see, it literally is all around us in every leaf and every plant, and everything in nature has that creation energy. And it measures at a 1.1 frequency. Another name for it is the 0 point energy, but it again is a very special, intelligent energy. And I'm happy to say that in the testing, the VibesUP, when it was tested, it produces that. You're probably not surprised after you've learned how it works. It produces that 1.1 frequency. Now you may wonder, what is this 2.5 frequency about? What this is about is that everything in nature, remember how we said it was once balanced and harmonious and generating energy, and the lower design there is what happens when we get things out of balance. It's not creating that energy. And in fact, what's it missing there on that side, on that black side? Let's look at our polarities. On the white side, that's air. That's the non-visible. And on the black side over here, that's the earth. That's the physical. Okay, so what it's missing is the physical matter. And this would explain why all the things around us that are harmful and non-beneficial, whether it's radiation, the GMO, everything that you can think of that's non-beneficial, you're going to understand it right here in this moment. So with how they do, this is a fun way to really get it. How they make a motherboard on a computer is they take physical organic matter. Physical organic matter is also what our bodies are made of. They take, and let's say a plant and a tree, and they take a motherboard, it's physical organic matter. They take an atom, so look at our little bow tie as an atom. The left side's the proton, the right side is the electron. They suppress that feminine side, or the electron side of the atom. Now it's out of balance. Things that are out of balance desperately seek to get back to their natural state. So they take these atoms, they're now called overreactive atoms. They're missing something. They're missing that physical side. They let them loose on this motherboard, and only certain parts of the motherboard have been exposed. When these overreactive atoms get to that motherboard, they start to pull off of it, and they're etching it because they're pulling that physical organic matter to themselves. And that's how they etch a motherboard on a computer. Well, that would also explain absolutely everything that's non-beneficial in our modern environment to us. Radiation is the exact same way. The more you suppress that feminine side, the more aggressive it gets at pulling on things around it. So if it were a little bit, you'd be talking your clock radio, how much it's pulling on physical organic matter. And before we continue with explaining radiation here, what is physical organic matter in your environment? So the things around us that are pulling, that are out of balance and pulling that physical matter, what are they pulling on? Well, let's look in our environment, whether it's your car or your house. What in your environment is physical organic matter? You would have rocks, some crystals maybe. You would have your plants, but the biggest, juiciest, concentrated chunk of physical organic matter in your environment is our bodies. So that's what's being pulled on the things that are out of balance. So let's take your thumb and pretend you're suppressing a little bit of that upper bow tie there, and it's a little bit aggressive of pulling things to itself. That would be like, again, the clock radio, a little bit. So you shouldn't have that by the head of your bed at all. In fact, anything within 2 arms lengths of your body. So hold your arm out, and anything within 2 arms lengths of that while you're sleeping, it homogenizes with your system. It blends with your whole system. So be very aware of what's in your energy field when you're sleeping. Okay, back to this. Let's suppress a little bit more. Then you would have like your cell phones and your clock radio, your cell phones and your computers. They're more aggressive at pulling that physical organic matter. Suppress it some more, you get the microwave, keep on suppressing it, you get like x-rays, and now those things are really pulling. Now let's do the grand experiment here of suppressing that whole side there, that completely covering up the feminine. You have now split the atom. What happens when you split the atom? Something huge happens on a much larger scale of what we were talking about. That would be the atomic bomb. And what the atomic bomb does is it pulls to itself physical organic matter. So if you've ever seen any old videos of atomic bombs, it's literally pulling the flesh right off of people, pulling the trees, pulling the physical organic matter into itself, and that is the extreme version of it. So to understand the things around us, whether it's preservatives in the food, GMO is just unbalanced, they've suppressed the feminine, the preservatives have been suppressed, the synthetics, the carpet, the clothing, the polyesters, everything that's not its natural state is doing this same thing. That's how radiation works. It's all exactly the same, and it's pulling on us. So the 2.5 frequency, let me explain how that works. So I was working on a project, something it was made out of plastic, on a creation I wanted to make, and the testing lady said, no, you can't use that because it's draining to the body. It's synthetic, it's plastic, it's out of balance. And I'm like, oh, bummer. And she goes, well, hold on. And she took it to her, like, somewhere between $90,000 and $100,000 machine. It's a German bioresonance. And she did some work with it, and with that machine she was able to get it back into what's called a 2.5 frequency. That just means that it's now in a neutralized state. And I was all, oh, that's great. She's like, yep, now it's neutralized, it's not pulling. And I was like, well, that's great, except you're a very busy lady with her lots of clients. Her practice is really booming. And so I thought, well, I can't send these over to you to get all these things reharmonized with your machine. And she said, hold on. And she went and got one of my mats, and she held it on there for 2 minutes and tested it again. And the side that was touching the mat got put into a 2.5 frequency. So then I thought, oh, I can just sandwich those between a mat, bring them back into that harmonious state. And I asked her, how long would that last to bring something back into a harmonious state? And she said she believed that would continue to last, and it would be permanently set back there to that balanced state. But we haven't been able to test that 5 years down the road, but it will last for a long time. Now, how does that apply to us in our everyday lives? Is all the things around us that are out of balance, remember how we could put that DVD back in and re-imprint it back to its balanced state? That's what she did with the mat. And I started to get excited and think, oh, all these things around us, all the synthetic man-made things that are draining and pulling our energy at a time that we want to be raising our energy to activate more of who we are, they're also pulling our balance out at a time we're trying to get that 8 side back up. I think in today's society, we're probably running more like a 10 on the left side and a 3 on the feminine side. We've really suppressed that side. So we're like, okay, we want to get that feminine side back up, the emotions, the right brain, the earth connection, the physical. We want to pull that back up and get in our natural balance. Well, when things around us are pulling us out of balance, that makes it even more challenging. So I was very excited to think, okay, nature knows we're not going to leave the comforts of our modern lifestyles. We have so many comforts and everything, we're not going to run out into the forest and live naked in the forest because we've become very used to our modern comforts. But they are literally sucking the life out of us. So nature really nudged and inspired me on this creation to be able to bring that nature energy back inside, neutralize and reharmonize the synthetics in our environment. So you can take your mat and touch it to things around you. So just hold it to things for 2 minutes, and you can put it now back into a neutralized state. So look around you, whether it's your chair, the carpets, your bed, especially the squishy foamy stuff is extra more pulling on our bodies. It's more out of balance. Like in the bras, they put those in there. Bedding, it's under the floors of hardwood floors, the squishy pads. The more that we can put this to that and reharmonize it, the less it's pulling from us. So here are some more products with the same earth mat energy. On the top left is a lap desk, and we're going to go through each one, and I'll take you on a little tour, a quick little ideas and ahas on how to use some of these. The therapy bear is a perfect example. It helps to pull out the ickies, and it's an ionizing bear. And ionizers are really, our modern society is full of a lot of positive ions. And remember, the positive ions are pulling. Well, this is feeding at the negative ions and the balanced energy. So this bear is an ionizer, and it's not just on the physical level, but very helpful in the emotional things that we have built up in our bodies. And you can give it a hug, and it's great to sleep with or carry around. Good for children or also adults as well. I've had even men that couldn't sleep. They had so much anxiety and stress, stealing their teddy bears from their ion bears from their wives. And she took a picture of her husband there with, he had her bear, and then she'd bought him a bear, and so he had his bear and her bear, and he was just laying there asleep with a smile on his face. So to help to neutralize the toxins in the environment and the emotional, like we said, the earth energy squishy squares, they have so many uses. I wear these inside my clothing up against my body, and I move them around, so I'm always doing like little nature's Reiki energy treatments on my body throughout the day. And then I pull them out and I use them to charge things with. You can also put them on your laptop, you know, where your wrist touches the laptop, and you can put them wherever you have a stiff shoulder or back pain or cramp. This is probably my favorite and fastest way to explain this to someone who's skeptical. And my adopted brother was that way. He's like, oh, I don't really get how this works, you know. He's like, I know all those people love it, but I don't get it. And I said, well, we were getting ready to go out to dinner. I said, well, do you have any pain on your body anywhere? And he's like, starts rubbing his lower left back and said, oh, this hurts me all the time. And so I go, great. I put that inside up against his back with the stony side towards where the pain was. We got in the car, we drove 5 minutes to dinner, and when he got out, I asked him, I said, so, hey, what's up? How's your back? And he was like, oh, what? He kept going, like, feeling his back and saying, okay, it's in 5 minutes, his back pain had totally shifted, and he was like, okay, I get it. He's like, wow, that's wild. So that was a really fun way to have somebody that doesn't really understand it to be able to have that experience for themselves. They're great for under pets' food and water dishes. And you know, their food, is just really toxic and unbalanced. You can cut up pieces and put it in your plants, and a plant will thrive, especially the new formula. I have a new zeolite puffy crystal formula. I have a plant in my window that was only supposed to live for a year, and it's now 5 years old, and you could tell because I'll take a picture someday and show it to everybody. It's really wild that it's still alive, and it kept doing a flower here and there too. Well, when I put the new zeolite puffy crystal formula into the root, it is busting flowers out non-stop everywhere on this plant. It's wild. And it just makes sense because when you put the souls in for a plant, its feet are its roots. So it's like putting that, kind of like the divine souls for the plant. I'm going to teach you something fun and interesting with the food charging coasters. So tests have shown that they clear out the negative energies, or let's call it the non-beneficial energies from food, and raises the healthy energy of it. Well, new testing. This is so fun. So I'm going to teach you a treatment you can do with this, but before I do that, I'm too excited. I can't wait to tell you the new testing. And I've wanted to have this tested for 5 years now, and it was, what effect does this have on GMO foods? My common sense knew what it would do, and I had an intuitive tell me 5 years ago that in the future they would be putting GMO on this to help remind it of its natural state. Well, the challenge in getting that tested was the place where I have the testing in Ireland, they didn't have GMO food there because it's been banned from their country. So one day the testing lady flew to New York to get dental work done. On the day she flew home, she got some GMO corn. She took it back with her, and this was the testing that she got with a German bioresonance machine and with a device called an ACMUS. And when she tested with both of those, she got that the cell membrane, the cell nucleus, and the cell organelles of the GMO food, the effect it had on the human cell, the nucleus, the membrane, and the organelles of the human cell was destructive to all three of those levels. So that food was destructive to the human cells. She put it on the VibesUP for 40 seconds, and then she took the corn back and tested it again. And the great news was, in her testing, showed up as no longer destructive. Now, I'm not saying, oh, let's just bury our head in the sands about GMO food. I'm definitely saying stand up. Let's create boundaries here. Let's be a voice for having our right to have our food in its natural state. But in the meantime, you never know what you're eating out there, because most things in America are now GMO. And you never know what is or isn't, because they didn't pass the law where they had to state it on the food. So rather than be in fear of our food or victimized or angry about our food, we're designed to have a loving relationship with our food. The fear of it is as toxic as the food can be. So this is not only helping to shift the food, but the energy and the relationship and the feeling we have about our food as we're consuming it. And you can do a test for yourself, because you might think, well, I don't have that machine that Caitlin's talking about. You can do muscle testing before and after food, but you can be very specific too, and you can say, you can test the food saying, how does the GMO factor of this food affect my body? And muscle test, and then charge it, and then you can ask that question again. Now, how does the GMO properties of this food affect my body? And muscle test again and see what you get for yourself. They can also be used for body wellness treatments. And I like to call it nature's Reiki, because it really is a powerful energy treatment that's from nature. And you can hold one coaster on the front of someone and one on the back. And that's it. You just relax and let nature do the work. And you can hold it there for 3 to 5 minutes. And I call it a vibrational car wash. Remember the key in the beginning, high and low vibrations can't coexist. Well, we have a lot of lower vibration things, whether it's food or traumas or emotions that we stuck in our body, and when it's there over time, it attracts more of that back to us. Let's say we had a trauma, and instead of feeling it and grounding it and it going through us, it's stuck in our body. We just shove it down and we go, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. Well, as it's in our body, it attracts more of those similar situations back to us. Now, what's fun when you do this, you could line up 10 people and do this, and you could get 10 totally different results, because nature will work with our free will, and it will never push us to do something or let go of something that we're not ready to let go of. So if somebody's a little uptight and they, not really feeling like releasing things, out of the 10 people, you might get a couple that say, I don't know if I even felt anything. And then you'll get others that go, yeah, whoa, I really feel something there. And then you'll get others that are just like literally their whole body starts moving around and doing all these, like realigning itself, and very fun. But it's so easy, and it never runs out of energy. And the kids can even go do like a little healthy treatment on the kitty cats and the pets and each other. So it's really, really fun way to do energy. And the more you do these treatments, the better you may notice yourself feeling, mental, physical, emotional, and it'll go to the priority of whatever is your top priority to work on. It's going to go, ooh, energy, here we go, let's go work on this. You can also use the coasters, and you can also use the squishies for that as well. Okay, so we have the some more items. This is for EMF. What EMF means is basically the electronic toxins that are around us. But it's not just electronic. Remember our bow tie, when it's out of balance, the things are pulling on us? That also applies to people and situations. When they're out of balance, they can be pulling on us too. And you may have even experienced an energy vampire type friend where whenever you're around them, you're like, oh, I feel so drained afterwards. Well, they're not bad or evil. They are just out of balance. And just like the little atom, they're seeking to survive and rebalance themselves. But when you're aware of that, you're like, okay, all of these things are not bad, they're not evil, I don't have to be afraid of them. They're just out of balance and seeking their balance. So that's where, because we can make a couple choices. When we're aware of all the toxic environment, and human beings we're just getting sick in droves. We have what you would call environmental illness going on so strong around us. So we have a couple choices. And imagine that bow tie in your head again. We can swing the pendulum one way and we can just totally go into fear about it, and get to where we just hide out from everything, and you've seen those people where they're so afraid of every ingredient, they're so afraid of being around or even touching another person, and they're creating like a little prison for themselves of fear. And so that would be one extreme, and all that fear is as toxic. That fear and judgment is as toxic as the items themselves are. So we don't want to swing our pendulum that way. Or we could go the other way, and we could bury our head in the sand, and we could just pretend nothing is going on and let things continue into the state of the human decline and the extreme illness that's going on with us. So we don't really want to do that either. We want to come somewhere in the middle where we bring awareness and we become proactive and solution-minded. And nature is the ultimate solver. If you look at almost any challenge you throw at nature, it has this ability to solve it. Look at all the animals have evolved into ways to solve things. Like whatever their predators are, they develop parts of themselves that work as natural protection from that. So the word protection, we want to look at it as we don't want to be afraid, we just want to be solution-minded and reharmonize the things around us, and nature has taught us how to do that. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of some of these. This one's for your cell phone. That's one of the biggest ways that we're radiating. Cell phones are producing microwave radiation. We're putting them right against our head, and to apply even a little common sense, we'd say, that's not a good idea. And they have released studies and reports now, and someone told me a couple days ago they have a friend that's a brain surgeon, and he got a brain tumor, and he was very adamant that he felt that came from his cell phone. And it's not just brain tumors. We want to think about our little pineal and our balance of our brain and all that. We don't want to be radiating and putting that more out of balance. But our cell phones are a lot of fun, and they're very convenient. So these covers are a way, and if you look closely, it's got like a little backpack, but they're a way to, the phone puts off the positive ion, this feeds it the negative ions and that balance energy, so it doesn't need to be pulling from our bodies. And that on the back, that little bump is like a little backpack full of all the little nature energy. And my friend Sophie said it so well. She's like, my phone has different outfits that have these little backpacks with nature's goodies in it. And so you can change it around to suit whatever color you want to wear that day. And then we also have family packs that have 4 different ones that each one has their insert. If I'm at a restaurant and forget my squishy for charging food, I'll just pull one of these out of my phone. Or if something hurts somewhere and I need to put that on it to send some energy to that area, I'll pull that right out of the back of my phone and then put it back in. This one is for iPhones. These will fit all different iPhones, but don't feel left out if you don't have an iPhone. We have now something called an AnyPhone covers. They're AnyPhone ionizers, so it's something that you can attach to any phone. This is one of my favorites, and it's back to our in and out swirl. These are sterling silver, and they have little cups in the back that are full of all that incredible formula and ingredients that we talked about earlier with the spinning in and spinning out. But additionally, on the front of this, I have the little shell from nature. That's called the Fibonacci swirl. And remember what we talked about? The swirl clockwise is the in, white and clockwise spins in, that'll be your clear quartz, and black and counterclockwise spins out. So the little creature, as it lives in the shell, this design naturally pulls in what it needs and spins out what it doesn't. And why it's in the ratio that you see in this picture, I remember asking, what's that? And then I thought about when we eat, we consume more than we spin out. So it's in that same, the black and the white ratio. Then it's pulling in and then spinning some out. And that is the Fibonacci swirl. Now, in the testing, the place in Ireland, they test everything they can find to try to find help for their patients. And so they've tested every EMF pendant that they can get their hands on. And so far they found 2 that are very strong and effective. And this is one of them. The funny part is the other one that tested strong also worked on that vortex in and the vortex out. And so I thought that was interesting. That is the pattern of life. This is also in a bracelet. I really like this because it'll go with anything. It's comfortable. I wear both of these 24/7 in the shower, everywhere. I just leave these on all the time. And the pendant is great for a man as well. This is the Earth Ion Lap Desk, and it's got 8 different uses. It's a little pillow that's shaped in a little pyramid shape, and you can use it for your iPad. You can read books with it. You can also flip it upside down and use it as a little desk to work on your computer, your laptop, or use it as a little tray for eating food on, and it's charging your food as you eat it. Even healthy food could really use that recharging, because think about when you pick food off of a tree or a plant, that plant or tree is plugged in. Its roots are into the ground and its leaves are pulling the energy from the sky. It's running that energy and plugged in. You pull the fruit off of that, you eat it, it's full of all that live energy and it revitalizes your body. For us though, once the food's picked, and most times we don't have a garden to pull right out of and eat from, when the food's picked, it starts to die down and lose its energy. By the time we get a hold of it, most of that energy is gone. And when you put it on your mat, those rays of energy, it's recharging and refueling that food with all that healthy, fresh energy again, so that when you eat it, you're getting refreshed with high vibrating food. Let's look at some ways that in our society with all this technology, we have this concentrated radiation right on our bodies, really pulling us out of balance and creating environmental illnesses. People put it right, like look at the lady on the couch up there, she has it right near her ovaries. Imagine all women carry all the eggs of all the children that they'll have. She's literally radiating those eggs by having that on her lap. And men as well with the prostate problems and children having it on their laps. It just makes me want to give them one, like when I see a kid using technology, which a lot of them, they start so young with the technology right on their bodies. So the pyramid lap pillows, I think, very a beautiful solution, because you can work on it and it makes it easier to balance and work with your electronics, but it does help in that neutralizing. I would say though is to put the technology down when you can and get out in nature more. It's just not healthy for us to be on technology the long periods of time that we do. This is an EMF harmonizer snap wrap, and it's designed specifically for helping to reharmonize, and there's a lot of people that are sensitive. I'm one of those, sensitive to the electronics. So this would be great for them. It's also good for people whose job requires them to be around electronics all day, or even if you're around grumpy or toxic emotional energies all day, this would be a great snap wrap for that. All the snap wraps can be put around glasses and bottles as well. This is beautiful. I love this tree shirt. This has in here, in the formula, right into the shirt, it has the essential oils of 11 different trees, and it's sending it out in those rays. So we can't always be out in nature under trees, but this is a way that we can put that on our body and take the tree with us wherever we go. Lotus oil, and now we just have a new line of a different delivery of essential oils. Lotus is very special, by the way, very balancing. One of the most, I think, the most beautiful essential oil I've ever experienced, and we carry this, but we also have a new set that came out, and it's a nightstand set. I don't have a picture of it here, but it's beautiful. It goes on your nightstand. It has a really unique pump delivery. And what I designed, remember the bottom of our feet have 50,000 receptors, so it sits on the nightstand, and it's not always easy to put essential oils on the bottom of your feet because you have to take your shoes and your socks off. But there's 2 times a day that your feet are very available, when you go to sleep and when you wake up in the morning. And so there's a night and a day formula. It has the oils specifically designed for that good night's sleep and dreams and manifesting and processing. And then the daytime one has all those oils for being invigorated and your day and awakening, and not just the coffee kind of awakening, that bigger picture awakening of humanity. So that is, and they smell great. They don't just have to go on the bottom of your feet. And it's an interesting coincidence, when I blended those oils, they just happen to turn out where the night one is night colored. It's kind of a bluish green tint, and the daytime one is like golden kind of liquid sunshine. So, and in the bottom of it, it has a VibesUP coaster built into the bottle but that coaster is specific to the oil that's in there. Remember, information ray of energy, so it's constantly re-imprinting that oil and reminding it of its specific job and its frequency. So it's, liquids can get affected by things around it, the Wi-Fi and the cell phone energy and the emotions of other people. Well, this oil will be kept in its specific energy, and the coaster helps raise its vibration, so it's very intelligent at working with you on a therapeutic level. So that's one of our new babies. These are plate mats, and it's the same formula that we made, but it's just in a nice shape to put under plates. My favorite, I like this one, it's bigger. My favorite is, there's 3 sizes of these currently, and it's the medium size that I like the best because I can wear it easily on my body and use it for the plates. This is Nature's Vibrational Therapy eye mask. See that little insert? It goes inside the mask, and this is for while you're sleeping, and it helps with, it's great for sleep or meditation, when you have headaches, also just really helping to rebalance. It's bringing that rebalance to the 2 sides of the brain while you're sleeping. Love this mask. It's also very important to sleep in the dark as well. Our body does not start producing melatonin until it's dark, and if you were to look up melatonin, you would find, wow, it's so important. Melatonin is known for helping to prevent cancer, helping to reduce aging. It helps to run the whole endocrine balance of the system. There's so many things about melatonin, and again, our body doesn't produce it until it's totally dark. So that helps additionally with this. Oh, and the skin and the eyes, just the revitalizing of that area is so incredible that it's inspired me to make, I'm working on a beauty mask, because just what it did for the eyes was so extreme and awesome. Okay, so the crystal plants, these are like divine souls and energy to put down inside of your plants or garden. We have the body wraps, and this is a way to bring energy to a specific area. Some people who are like, I get tired of holding my squishy on my knee. So this is for, we have ankle, knee, back, wrist, elbow, and now the newest addition is a neck wrap. And the neck wrap's not just for when your neck's stiff. Think about what the bracelet does for all that beautiful blood of your body. Well, the neck wrap is right there on touching your spine, and think about all the spinal fluid that goes up and down, back to your brain and through your system, that it can have that nature gentle infusion right there as well. Okay, now I have a lot to say on this subject. Water. Water is what holds life. So the 2 vortexes come together, and water holds life. So an egg, by the way, is in a design of that 8 to 5, and water moves. It vortexes in the way that an egg is shaped. So it's always got that back and forth vortex going. So let's have a look at that back and forth vortex and how it's affected in your bottle. Remember the magnetic, the electromagnetic, the in and the out. Those are, imagine these as little cones and they're vortexing. And remember, our special recipe has the clear quartz is the plus, that's the spinning in. The black tourmaline is the spinning out, and the minus. Well, there's been scientific work by several gentlemen scientists throughout history that have really discovered so much about the vortexes in water. Here's an example. As water moves through a creek, it bends one way and then it bends the other, back and forth. And as it makes a turn, it creates a spin in the water clockwise. And then as it turns the other way, it creates a counterclockwise spin in the water. There are projects, and these resulting series of research projects, it projects into the detoxification of liquid, in particular drinking water, without the use of chemical additives or treatments. Wow, there's some great work going on in this area. I'm so happy to hear that, because the water of our planet is so important to the life of our planet and the life of ourselves. So let's have a look at I want to say a big thank you to companies like Biodynamics of India, Structured Water, Environment Art, Flow Forms, and others for helping bring awareness and bringing this awareness to the world of the spinning water in and out. Remember the little shell, the spin in, the spin out? Vortex in, vortex out. I think we're kind of getting this like, that's what is helping to bring things into that ball in the middle, that pure energy, and they've even found that it is purifying water. I went 10 years ago to a talk at the Waldorf Steiner College, and there was a gentleman talking on water, and it was one of the most boring talks I'd ever been to. It was very monotone and everything, but the subject was very interesting to me, and I was like, what? And they showed that they were making these troughs that would create a spin one way and a spin the other way, and they were making molds of this and taking that mold over to Africa, and they were building troughs for people in poor countries where it was polluted, where the water would come in one end of it polluted and come out the other end clean, clear water. And I was just like, whoa, that's so awesome that they're doing that work. And I was given an inner nudge that, I wouldn't fully understand it then, but in the future I would. And so now here, all these years, it was actually 7 years ago, not 10. 7 years later, I now fully understand how that relates in so many things around us, not just the water troughs. So that same, on the vortex in and out, the underneath the bottle and on the bottle wraps, it's doing the same thing for the water, that spin in, that spin out. So here are some wraps that go around bottles. So you saw the first bottles, the drinking bottles. The bottom of that bottle with all that beautiful gemstones, that does that for the water as well. And it additionally imprints all that stuff from nature, the essential oils and the flower essences and the gems, because as water moves down a creek, it would be coming over the stones and the plants and picking up the imprintation and the memory of all that nature, and then when we drink it, we bring that into our bodies. Well, the wraps and the water bottles do that as well, imprinting that nature back onto the water. And coming soon will be some special wraps for pipes. And that will be doing the vortex in and out, and it will also be imprinting all that nature onto the water of the house. And I've had it tested, and it works great. For infusing the balance of energy, so the nature's ingredients, imagine that once you snap that on the pipe, of that infusing out into the whole water of your house, of all that nature memory into the water of the house. The water has been traveling pretty beat up through the water purification systems and the holding tanks, and all that synthetic man-made journey that it's been on has been very traumatic to the water, and this will help bring that balanced memory back to the water. It's designed to have this beautiful journey down creeks and rivers and waterfalls. And we also have vibrational therapy for wine and beer. So if someone's going to drink wine and beer, they might as well have it at a higher vibration and be able to, it literally can help up the taste, the vibration, the chill, because this one's insulated for the beer, the health, and has been known to reduce hangovers. Really cool. The insulated one snaps around jars or glasses or cans. On the wine one, it's inside the tie, and it makes a wine bottle, and then you have the little charms that go onto the different wine glasses. Also, this is fun for those that love wine. When you raise the vibration and oxygen goes hand in hand. When you raise vibration, oxygen comes up with it. When you lower vibration, oxygen goes down with it. So in raising the vibration of your wine, you're doing so many good things for the wine, but you're also, how people like to oxygenate their wine, they put it in oxygenating decanters. Well, this is a really fun, natural, and infrared way to oxygenate your wine. We have goodies for pets, and this is a pet charm. Just a little FYI though, if you have a big rowdy rough dog, it may get knocked off and not last for a long time. But for most dogs it's fine. In addition to the pet charm, we have the mats, And this little puppy dog here, my son found it abandoned, and it had been living, trying to survive on its own, and it was just out in the Hawaii area where my son lives, and it had been, I think bad things had happened to the dog. Like its hips were really messed up, like someone had kicked it or had been hit by a car, and it was really needing some help. So my son took this, and his lady took this dog in, and they found the dog on its own was really attracted to the mat. And if you notice, the dog has figured out how to do little treatments on its hips here, and it will lay like that with its hips right directly on the mat. And then my son went out on the deck and saw the dog with his mat, and he was holding it to his chest, and just, he's been through a lot of emotional traumas, having lived out trying to survive on his own up to the age of I think is about 4 months. And so he just holds his mat, and you'll notice that animals are really drawn to that. They know that they're designed, just like humans, to be right on the earth and connected to nature, and instead we're living in the synthetic environments. My son lives on the 3rd floor, so they're even further away from the earth, so this dog is very attached to his mat. We have trio sets of the plate mats and squishies. And also on the plate mats and squishies, they're great to put under the pet's food and water dishes. And then coming soon, we have strips that can go into, it may already be here by the time you listen to this. We have strips that go inside the pet collars, so you can line the inside of their collar with that earth energy. Now we're getting close to completion on this video, but one of the last subjects we're going to discuss here is the vibration's effect on aging. In a lower vibration, things deteriorate quickly. In a higher vibration, deterioration not only slows, but it can be known to reverse. Let's have a look at some examples of that. These are crystal cream vibrational therapy for the skin, and these are fridge crystals for your food. Now, what you'll notice with your fridge crystals is your produce, the aging of it slows way down and lasts so much longer. Now, the same thing happens with the crystal cream. And you can feel the actual crystals, but it's more your body instead of the food. With the crystal cream, this is one of our most popular. We can't make this fast enough. This is vibrational therapy that you can apply. Remember how I do coatings on things? This is a coating that you can put anywhere you want on your body. Let's say you want some energy for your knee. It's also fabulous for skincare. I apply it to my chest, neck, and face, and the back of one of my hands. Now, if you ever get a chance to, if we meet in person, have me hold out both of my hands, and you'll notice my right hand is a little on the crepey, and there's some little spots, and my left hand is much smoother. There looks to be, I would say, at least a 10-year difference in my two hands, maybe even 15. Even the coloring is more vibrant on my left hand. And I noticed a difference in that in a couple weeks, so you may want to do that for yourself. And I've just kept it going because I have this little thing like, oh, if I hadn't been using this, my face would look like that, but now it looks like this side. And it's just kind of a fun little gauge for me to see the difference, because you don't, when your skin just keeps getting better, in time you just get used to that. So it's just, I'm kind of my own little guinea pig on that. The creams come in Ageless Extreme, the Natural, Ouch Cream, and a Blemish Cream. I love them all. I actually go between the Blemish, the Natural, and the Ageless, and I don't have blemishes, but there just seems to be an evening of the skin coloring. I really like that cream a lot. Now look at this is the torus, or the energy field around humans. If you notice, do you see our little bow tie design, but it's turned out more in an hourglass? See the funnel in the top and the funnel bottom and the ball in the middle? That's a picture of what the energy field around a human looks like. Isn't that wild? There's our design again. Our thoughts and emotions very much affect our energy, our blood, our vibration as well also. So some more ways to increase your vibration is to choose things that are natural and eliminate synthetics as much as you can. And if you can't eliminate them, reharmonize them. Remember the 2.5 frequency. You can find the tools and the, books or videos that feel uplifting to you, but remember, anything that you're working with, you don't want to worship it. And very much so with my tools, I always tell people these are not to be thought of as a belief system or, oh, without these I would be nothing. Nature does not want us to worship it, because whatever you're worshiping, you give your energy to that. And nature knows that it's time for us to start to really believe in ourselves and for our energy to come to us and to activate more of who we are. So on my tools, it's think of nature as a friend that's helping to remind us of who we are. We don't worship our friends, right? The friend is reminding us how to get back into our natural state. One of the most powerful ways to raise your vibration is to believe in yourself. Whatever you believe in is where your energy goes. So if we're believing in something outside of ourselves, that's where our energy goes. When we start to believe in ourselves, our energy comes back to us. Again, I think the biggest shift I made in my path was the day that I stopped looking to things outside of myself as my answers, and started to look into my heart and trust my heart's ability to know what's best for me. And when I did that, my vibration went up so much, and I started to have all these really fun abilities that I didn't have before, and it all came from listening to my heart. And the more you listen, the louder it gets. It's awesome. Also, get out into nature as often as you can. And if you can't get out in nature, or when you can't get out in nature, bring as much nature into our homes as you can, and really kind of make your home. I'm seeing us being able to create homes instead of these toxic boxes that we live in, to be able to create homes that are healing oases of nature, where when people come into our homes, or our kids are growing up, or we're hanging out in our homes, it's that nature oasis with that frequencies that are uplifting and rebalancing and reharmonizing. So VibesUP is designed to bring the balance of nature back into our modern lives. That's our intention. Again, is to bring the balance of nature back into our modern lives. And you can come explore the wonderland of the nature solutions. In fact, I have over 70 different inventions. Everything that you could think of, there's something for that vibrationally. And you know what's really neat is nature. I love this about nature, is these are not something that you have to remember to do, because we're already so overwhelmed with so many things going on. So for example, you get in your bed, your mat's already in there to work on you while you sleep. You put your shoes on, it's already there. You put your bracelet on, you don't have to remember to put your bracelet on 3 times a day. You're drinking out of a water bottle anyway, so when you drink out of the VibesUP water bottle, it's already doing its work. So it's very fits very easily into our modern lives as a beneficial upliftment, without having it to be that stress of, oh, I have to remember something else, So come explore the website. The website is designed as a resource for vibrational energy education and tools, and there's so much to learn on there and explore, and I really wanted it to have a place that people could just kind of come and hang out and learn and discover and explore. So thank you and have fun.